Alright, welcome back to the channel. Got a daring game from earlier today. Divisioned up with one of the guys from Bias. And yeah, this is the daring, the Tier 10 Royal Navy DD. Had a blast with the Lightning. I unlocked it early and was able to get about 20 games in it, and loaded it up with some signals and camos and had enough XP to get to Jutland when the tier 9s and 10s were released and the complete line was released. Took me about 20 games in the Jutland, and I had enough XP to get the Deering, and haven't had a lot of luck with the Deering. Finally kind of getting the hang of it. I don't know. It's not really my play style. I think it's a little bit defensive in nature. But I've been having much better games lately. Probably the first 20 or so games were really rough. Very low average damage, low win rate, but I'm kind of getting that fixed now. So, there's two DDs on this map. In this game, and this game has quite a few good players. There's guys from several big clans. You may recognize some of the names. I know it's kind of hard on the replays. There's a lot of chat and banter going back between the people that know each other on opposite teams. You got guys from Tash, guys from APOC. Obviously, I'm from Detonate. You got guys from NGA. And you got guys from SCC. So if you're familiar with any of the competitive clans, these guys are all some of the better clans and obviously some of the better players. Two radar ships. There is a Kronstadt and a Salem. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out for those. I do not want to deal with either. Although, if given a choice, I would rather deal with a Kronstadt because of the duration of his radar. Although, this Salem doesn't have Des Moines radar either, so 6 one, half dozen of the other. The difference is, in order to come into Salem radar range, I'd have to be very close to him. The enemy team is taking the A cap. I'm trying to sneak into the B cap. And our Shimakaze has... Oh man, I really wasn't paying too much attention to the other players in this game. I noticed we had a big force over at the seed cap, but I didn't actually pay attention to the Shimakaze. He's actually divisioned up. But you can see he basically went over to the cap, turned around, and is now taking off. Yeah, real helpful. Typical weekend play, if you will. So, I'm going to tough it out and try to get this cap. I gotta say, the Deering is kind of growing on me. You'll see some pretty cool stuff in this game. This isn't like a mega high damage game by any stretch of the imagination. But like I said, it's a pretty good game from start to finish. Back and forth between the two teams. Again, a bunch of great players on both sides here. And of course some weekend potatoes sprinkled in. You can see the pink Shimakaze on the mini-map is now over at B, which has already been secured by myself. Looks like he just torqued that gap between B and C. Not really sure why, but yeah. There's the Kronstadt. I don't want to be dealing with him. That's one of the Tash players. Haven't seen a radar go off at this point, so and speaking of the devil, I get radared. I believe because of the distance, this is actually the Kronstadt and not the Salem. Although the Salem is kind of close, I don't believe I'm in his range. So again, Kronstadt radar is usually 35 seconds, so I don't really. I don't usually put myself very close to those ships. But again, I would be more frightened of a Des Moines or even a Salem, being up close and personal with their rate of fire and their heavy HE shells. So, you can see our Shimakaze has completely abandoned the C cap and the B cap and is now going all the way to A. If you're not familiar with this game, this isn't really how you play. It's actually horrible gameplay, but I see this a lot. I think these are just people that don't really know how to play the ships that they have. I see this a lot with radar, where DDs will be like, oh, there's a insert radar cruiser name over here, and they go to the other side of the map. The trick to playing against radar is positioning and timing and basically just not putting yourself in a bad position where you can get caught out. And it does happen to all of us. I mean, I would say I'm a fairly decent DD player, but you make mistakes, and sometimes the other day I had I don't remember what DD I was playing, but a Des Moines had been dark for like the first 4 minutes of the game, and I finally started to push thinking that we had an opening, and not really. This Des Moines was hiding behind an island basically waiting for me, and I didn't have enough support, and or the people that were with me weren't paying attention, and yeah, no DD does well against a Des Moines up close and personal. So our Massachusetts ends up taking out their Edinburgh, and I believe, actually see who got a kill on their team. Maybe their Hindenburg got the kill on one of our ships. So I try to finish off that boat. The Hindi gets taken out by the Seattle. Minotaur takes out the Freddy. And yeah, things are heating up here. It's only 4,000 damage for me in this one cap, but all of a sudden boats are dropping right and left. And our Shima has just arrived at the C cap, or the the A cap, which he's now taking, putting down some fire, some HE on this Montana, trying to get a fire on him. I had torped him, but my torps were a little bit off as he was coming through that gap. He was going slow, and I set him right at the end of the opening, and apparently he had accelerated because he was well clear of my torps when they got to where I'd hoped he would have been. I'm assuming this is a Haragumo smoking up here. So I'm going to, and I also see 2 or 3 other ships going into this smoke, so, or in the general area. So I'm going to put, and then I see some fire coming out. That's definitely Haragumo. I can just tell by the rate of fire there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could only be, I think, the Haragumo. So put those torps out. I'm going to turn around, and of course I get radared again. This time, more than likely, it is the Salem, who is much closer to me, and the enemy daring takes out our torpedoes, and I managed to get 3 torpedoes. I'm not sure on what. I'm not sure if that's didn't actually see where the impacts were on the spread. So I'm not sure if that was multiple ships or a single ship. Oh, It appears the Salem ate at least 2 of them. So my guess is the third torp went into a different ship, but that looks like a couple torp hits. And ooh, and the Haragumo gets spotted. It looks like he may have eaten one of those torps. It's hard to tell. I'll have to check later. I'll go back and I'll look at the detailed page and see what the situation was. I'm actually firing on the Haragumo. He was really, really low. He had under like 100 health, but somebody manages to get him. Again, I just wanted to get him before he got away. I didn't want to kill steal or kill secure either way. Focusing on the Salem, calling for help. Switching to AP, and I'm going to try to finish this guy off. Managed to get my first kill. 10, 11 minutes into the game, finally get a kill. And sitting on 62,000 damage, which isn't too bad. My average in this boat is pretty low right now, because like I said, my first 20 games or so were pretty horrible. So my average damage is about 50,000. So that's what it's sitting at now. But I've probably been averaging closer to 80 or 90,000 with this as of late. So I'll see if that goes up. I hope it does, because right now this is like one of my lowest average damage DDs. Even my Shimakaze average 67,000 damage. I don't know. Yeah, more radar from the Kronstadt. Luckily, no big hits. Took a little bit of damage from that Hindenburg. He got a good. Actually, lucky he had AP loaded. If that had been HE, I probably would have been lost about half my health. That's one thing I'll comment on really quickly too. The Deering has heals, and I don't have Superintendent on this build, so I only have 2, and they don't really heal a whole lot. So yeah, you got heal, but yeah, I don't know. They're not gonna bring you back from the dead or print you a new ship like the Conqueror heal and or the Salem and or the Minotaur. Well, those are probably the 3 best heals in the game. Actually, British cruisers, so not just the Minotaur. The rest of them have pretty good ones too. So, found a little spot where I can shoot over the island, and I'm gonna rain some fire down on this Amagi. But the Shimakaze, who has already gone down, apparently got some torps off on him. Is either... Yeah, it had to be the Shimakaze. Somebody got some torps off on him, and it was a pretty good salvo because he went from full health to a few thousand left. I'm trying to spot him so I can shoot him some more and maybe get him on fire, but he goes around the corner and gets finished off by our Montana, or our Minotaur. So, yeah. Oh, at this point, we're down about 400 points, and just as I say that, we take out their Montana, and still down about 300 points. Ship count, we do have a slight advantage, I think. Maybe the ship count's even, but they do have a point advantage and a cap advantage still. Got a bunch of low health ships right here. Unfortunately for me, if you look on the mini map, I have a Massachusetts in the A cap that really can't help me, and the rest of my team is over, including my division mate, is over by the C cap, and none of them really have shots on these guys. So I'm going to be on my own for the near future. You can see a lot of chat going back and forth. Some of the guys that have died are joking back and forth with some of the guys that are still in the game. And I have a Hindenburg here and a Massachusetts. I put torps on this Hindenburg, and I put kind of a funky spread out there. I wasn't sure if he was going to push all the way through on the prediction line. So I set a set back thinking he might cut in and hug that island. And I miss him with all the torps. But the ones that I put in close and the first set that I fired would have actually hit the Massachusetts behind him. So I end up with finishing off the Hindenburg and taking out the low health Massachusetts with torps and getting myself a double strike. And that really has kind of turned the game around. We're only about 40-50 points down now. Our team is pushing into the C cap now. My division mate is coming back over to help. Yeah. Unfortunately, this Massachusetts is dealing with this Alsace. And there's also a daring, the enemy daring. And to put this in perspective, the enemy daring and that Alsace have combined 5 kills. So, not like we're just cleaning up a couple scrubs here. We've got a few good players that are left. Popped my hydro. I'm guilty of not using my hydro in any ship as I probably should. But in this case, spots a set of torpedoes that the daring had set off right before he got spotted briefly by a spotter plane, and also I believe before he took out the Massachusetts. I'm not sure who killed the Massachusetts, but one of these two did, and I'm sure the Massachusetts couldn't get away. You know, we were all telling him to go dark, but he really couldn't do anything because of this daring. So I'm going to go after the daring. He's low health, and right now he is actually going away from me, but he started turning in, and it looks like he's actually coming towards me. I haven't been spotted for a bit, so until I opened fire, he probably had no clue where I was. And considering his health pool and my health pool, he probably didn't want to run into me. Probably didn't want to run into anybody for that matter. However, I was the only one that will be able to detect him. So, I've got this Alsace. I'm going to put some torps out on the Alsace. The rest of my team is coming around the south side of the B cap now. I'm kind of on my own for a little bit, it looks like. I'm not sure if those guys can actually even get shots in, so I'm going to do what I can with what I have. And I get a double fire and a torpedo strike. So the Alsace uses his damage control. And I'm expecting to get spotted here by that plane. I'm a little worried about that plane. I stopped firing for a second, kind of repositioned, trying to put some distance between me and him. Those smokes don't last long. I don't have a whole lot of speed to deal with here. I'm maxed out at about 33 knots, so manages to land a pretty good salvo on me. He chunks me pretty heavily. I'm down to probably about 40% of my health, so still in fairly good shape. I don't have my heals or anything left, but I mean, all things considered, I'm not doing too bad as far as my health goes, and considering the amount of radar and ships that I've encountered. He fires another salvo and gets me again. Land another fire, and at this point I'm gonna turn in on him and switch to AP. Unfortunately, I'm firing a little, I'm leading him enough, and I'm firing kind of like in his rump. But I managed to get my second or third salvo of AP on him and take him out. So I get 420 points for the Royal Navy event. Win the battle. I had 5 kills, so that's 100 points. An honorary and a heroic achievement. So the double strike and the Kraken. 132,000. 2 solo caps, 5 kills. Not too bad. 11 base defense. Yeah, I can't complain. 300 shell hits and 7 fire, so pretty good game overall. I mean, I've done a little bit. I've had higher damage games in this thing, but I believe this was my first Kraken. I could be wrong. I could actually be my second one, but I think it might have been my first in this boat, anyways. 2494 for base XP. Followed up by our Mogami in a tier 8 ship who did 2212, so he had a pretty solid game too. And then you can see the rest of our team comes in behind. Haragumo must have taken a torp because I did 27,000 damage to him. So he might have even taken a torp and some flooding. So yeah, finished off the Salem, finished off the Alsace, the Massachusetts, the Edinburgh, the Deering. Did a lot of damage to that Haragumo. So yeah, great game. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.